Okay, today's date is May 12th, 2026. This will be the Burlington Town Council meeting. All three county representatives are here: Daniel, Jared, and myself. Karen is here as the town clerk. We'll go ahead and start this meeting. First will be approval of minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. I have a motion by Jared to approve the minutes, second by Daniel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next will be the payment of claims.
Make a motion that we approve the accounts payable list. Second.
Motion by Daniel to pay the bills. Jared seconded that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next will be town marshal report.
Didn't look like he stopped anyway, did it?
I don't like this new form.
Or is one of these mean that he stopped somebody?
Doesn't say.
No.
No, we need, I'll get with him. I don't like this form. Because he's getting this off the CAD from the county, but it's not got stops on it.
So maybe he did stop it, he just printed this out
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, it's possible he just didn't get it on the CAD.
So then maybe ask him to go back to the other thing,
Well, we can, or just make sure that it's on here.
puts it on. Make a motion to approve the police activity report. Second.
Motion by Jared, second by Daniel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then move to call Shane. Anybody with community club?
Hi.
You're up.
Well, got our new pumps, you've probably seen on there. And I just gotta get the brackets that go down home for the rails. And those don't come with them, so I haven't priced them yet. Our stick pick buck went really good. Dumpsters, not so much. We had an incident down there where somebody hit one of the cars parked down Ellows. And I don't know if he's contacted his insurance company or how it's gonna work. But the trash is on the ground. It's piled right beside the sign that says nothing on the ground. So we're gonna have to do something different for next year. We gotta be able to police it better.
Or not do it.
Take it away.
Yeah. That's happened like, the last year wasn't too bad, the year before that was really bad.
Right. I remember one year it was terrible.
And we're getting out of town stuff, and I'm like you guys, I'm about done with it.
By Saturday morning, I went up through there, I don't know,
It was 8:15. I mean, they were full, like loaded.
Friday night was full.
Yeah, Elo got in touch with Shane, and Shane said it's more of a, on him, you know, as far as the insurance and stuff like that, so we're just kinda waiting to see what happens with that. And, we had a thought that, you know, we don't wanna do that just yet, so.
Yeah, it's
Till
what
we
it
hear
is.
something. But yeah, that's not working. Just
No,
can't trust
I agree.
people.
I know Camden has issues as well,
Yeah.
so it's almost, I think they're gonna eliminate theirs.
I mean, the whole intention of it was for Burlington residents to be able to clean up their property.
Right.
Well, people now are storing their stuff all year long just for this.
Just to get rid of it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not working.
How about the trees on Park Road? Did we get those down?
What's that?
It was in the claims, that's all.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I saw it, but I didn't know
Yeah,
if we had
yeah.
completely done it.
Yeah, we got that done there. We had one come clear across the road. And
Right.
the other one was leaning, it was gonna hit the wires, and then there was another one that was dead, so we just took all three of them out.
Okay. Yeah, that was by far the
Yeah,
best thing.
it wasn't safe. I mean, you could see that one just a wobbling, so.
How many, like, what percentage of people do you think are taking advantage of it? I mean, not,
It's hard
not
to
doing
say.
right on that,
I mean, it's
like
hard
a
to say.
small percentage?
Well, last year I caught 2 people. I made them load up their stuff and take them out. Now, whether they come back later on, who knows,
Huh.
but I did catch a couple. But, man, it's just, I mean, it's piled right beside the sign.
Right.
That's what's aggravating.
Well, I drove by Friday and saw somebody I know who lives in the county with a truck backed up.
Yeah. Well, they was
It's just
circling like
I'm not
buzzards.
gonna argue.
Yeah, they just circling like buzzards before the dumpsters got there.
Yeah.
There's 5 people in line before they had them parked in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they was all towners, you know, but,
Right,
Yeah.
but still.
yeah, I just, I don't know, I think
People
we
do
need,
that at the church sometimes too.
yeah,
I've seen it.
I think we just need to hold it for a little while and maybe we can come up with a better plan. That's about all I got.
How much does that cost for us to do that?
What was it, Karen? $4.25 a dumpster, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember it being very expensive.
It's around there, yeah, about $900.
It's not real expensive, but we get abused every
Yeah.
time, it seems like, and it's getting to the point where you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That'll be a discussion for next year, so.
Have you ever considered doing city trash pickup with the sewage bill that like Rossville and Flora and them do? So where you residents in town have basically you have a pickup with a certain company and you have the toters that are there and it costs them that much more every week in their sewage or every month in their sewage bill.
We could, but that's a hassle for Karen. But almost every residence has somebody with totes already. And that's just like, come on, get rid of it, don't store it.
Some people do curbsides, you know, so the town picks it up, but we just don't have the people to do that. And don't have any place to put it, and take it, without getting the dumpsters ourselves. Kind of defeat the purpose.
Park board? Anybody from park board? Okay. We'll move on then to a guest, Mike Martin from Carroll Area Plan.
How's everybody doing today? So I've been Carroll County Area Plan Director for about 2 years now. About 2 years ago, I was thinking I probably ought to get over to Burlington and introduce myself to everybody over here, and never quite made it. But so this mixed use ordinance proposal was brought up by Cameron Yates, the director before me, and I think in the middle of all that, he got elected as mayor of Delphi, so it just kind of fell flat. So I think Camden initially signed off on it, and the commissioners had already signed off and approved it for Burlington. Camden, and Yeoman. So I don't really know, like, there's a few questions I need to ask on the legal side of it. I don't want to just go changing the map of Burlington, you know, because that downtown area where it says B3 or whatever, the intent was to change that to M1. And the reason, from what I understand, would be because of the residents that are there. Like if something's zoned B1 or B2, it's not necessarily appropriate to have a single dwelling there. You could have a dwelling unit which is an accessory to the business, and it specifically says that. So she asked a question, what if a house burns down, somebody wants to rebuild, what about the property setback and the minimum lot sizes? Not such a big issue with this town because you already have sewage. That's the biggest issue with lot sizes, right? So I don't see that being a big problem as far as the lot sizes, hypothetically, if the house burned down. But if a house burned down, single family dwelling, that was currently zoned as B2 or 3, I think technically to rebuild, it would have to get rezoned back to some sort of residential zoning. If it stays the way it is now. The intent of this MU was to clean that up. Because people have trouble refinancing their homes.
Well, we had people that couldn't buy a house because it
Right.
was zoned wrong.
And it's the same way in all the little towns. Camden, there was one lady, she owned the old Pizza King there, and she closed the business down, converted it back into a single family dwelling, went through the rezone process long before me. Went through that process and had it listed for sale. When she had it listed for a year, couldn't get it sold. And finally somebody said, well, you know, it's zone business, I can't buy it without 20% down. But she went through the process to get it rezoned, it just never, the map never got changed. So technically it was rezoned, but it didn't look like it.
It's a realtor's fault.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of, I'm just saying that there's one, the guy that runs the Dock bar and restaurant here, he owns I think it's a rental. It looks like an old business of some kind, single story. I'm not exactly sure right where it is, but it's being used as a single family like rental, which is fine because it's been doing that for 15 years. I'm not going to go and be like, hey, you have to change all that. But for financial purposes, a person like that, he would benefit by having it as MU. Because then not all banks require 20% down, but if you want to use your equity in your home to do improvements, it's got to be 80%. So if that's making sense to you guys or not. And there's several other issues with the zoning in general, having it all B2 or B3. Even Delphi changed all their maps too, because it didn't quite fit the bill for downtown, you know. So it wouldn't really change a whole lot. I guess there was some feedback prior that people were worried like, oh, well, someone could just open a tattoo parlor or whatever. Well, technically they could do that now. Someone that has a house that's on B2 or 3 here now, they can start working on cars in their backyard and you couldn't stop them. And so if you look in here, like, you know, the top part, that's the stuff that's intended uses. And then down here is special exceptions. So some of the stuff in new here, they'd have to be able to do some of this stuff, they would have to come before area planning commission and pitch their idea and explain it and things like that. Something else that, so something you should think about too, that they probably weren't thinking about this when they wrote this, but so say the gas station, they sell vape and they sell cigarettes and they sell all that stuff, right? I don't know what the Indiana law is going to end up being, but right now there's no county rules against dispensaries. So in the town of Delphi, I asked the guy that runs the vape shop there. It's literally a head shop. Bongs, all kinds of paraphernalia for sale in there, every kind of cigarette you can think of. He's a really nice guy, but he knows I work for the county, right? So he thinks I'm in there like looking at his stuff. I'm just buying a pack of cigarettes, right? But I asked him, I'm like, what's the rules? Like, how does this work when Indiana makes this available? What do you have to do to start selling it? He said nothing locally. There's no requirement locally for him to do
I
anything.
guess that's good state license.
But most of these guys already have that stuff. They're like waiting to pull the trigger on that stuff. They've already got it. That's why he bought that building.
Yes and no.
You know,
It's harder than what you think, because the state still has to approve it, so.
I know. I'm just saying that it's just an example of like loose ends, you know, that so you think, oh, well, someone might open a tattoo shop based on changing this to MU. You probably already do that anyway, you know, but this would, short-term rentals, would that covers Airbnbs? You know, there's nothing that covers Airbnbs now. So that's the issue we're running into on the lake. Everybody wants to buy all the lake properties, and it's literally their weekend property, but they're classifying it as an Airbnb so they can write it off. No one ever stays there, they're just using it as a business write-off. But still, it's like, taxes are supposed to be paid for innkeeper's tax, and that's supposed to go somewhere, but no one's really, you know, checking that stuff. Just giving you guys some things to think about. By no means am I an expert. If you guys are interested in pursuing this, the main reason is it's going to benefit the people that have dwellings in the downtown area the most. If there's some other places that you'd think would benefit from being MU, we can probably highlight it, and that'd be a suitable option too. And like we're also getting started updating the comprehensive plan for the county. So the comprehensive plan is like the playbook for the whole county, and you're supposed to update it every 10 years, and it's been almost 20 since we have. So hopefully I can get that done within the next year or two, and update all the county ordinances. Not rewrite them, but just get a new book, word them so they make sense, because some of it's contradictory or whatever. But the comprehensive plan will probably end up coming around to all the towns and, you know, present it to you, and there'll be experts involved that this is what they do. But something you guys should think about as a town is where would Burlington expand? Where would the city limits expand to? What side of town? And what's the best spot? So just you don't necessarily have to move the city limits. You just have a plan like, hey, maybe this is where we would go. You know, we're talking 10, 15 years from now. So, does anybody have any questions? It's kind of, particularly the guy that, can't think of his name, that runs the restaurant, he called and asked about this specifically. It's something I was on my radar, I knew, I just hadn't really had time to mess with it. So I was like, well, he's gonna have to come before me and do a rezone, which is gonna be time consuming and costly for him, but it could have already been taken care of.
I have a property on 6th Street that's a residence. It's one house behind 29, so it's to the east of 29, so right down there at Marathon. So you go across Marathon, there's a house right down the corner that I'm right behind, a little brick house that I have as a rental. My issue is that property is split by an antiquated alley that's no longer used, but it's still on the books. My house and the little parcel behind it are considered business, central business, or business, and two across it are considered urban right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a split property already zoned, that, you know, that's not very effective when I go to sell later on, because it just causes grief. These are my finding is anytime you have a two-zone property, it's a problem. So my.
Is it multiple parcels though?
Yeah, it's 4 parcels, yeah. So, but it's 2 and 2, and the 2 parcels are separated from, just by an alley that's basically vacated, but it's never been vacated properly.
Okay.
So my concern is, you know, I don't care either way, whether it's mixed use, whether it's central business, I don't care. But, you know, my point is if we're gonna rezone, that I wanna have my property all contiguously zoned the same if possible, because.
That's valid.
And I think they'll find several of those if we look really hard on the plat, because the way Burlington was. I mean, this thing was platted in 40 or 45 foot lot widths, you know,
I know.
back in.
Well, and somebody just took a color pencil and made this downtown business.
Yeah.
They didn't take any, I guarantee they didn't have any hearings about it. No one had a say in it at all,
Yeah.
probably.
I got one of the last maps when they did it, that was 1964, so.
Way before our time.
Yeah, there's stuff in Delphi, they're like, "What- how long has it been zoned like that? We didn't know. Even the town of Delphi doesn't know when or how it was zoned like that. Like, the same thing, Dr. Stoffer's house, right through the middle of his property, same deal. All up and down that whole strip, it's the same way. So, and then,
I'm just saying, if we're gonna change it though, I would, my position has always been, if we're gonna make a change, we need to clean it all up, not just go in there and bandage it. So that's my thought, Mike. I hate to see us go in there and just do spot zoning for the residents that are there, and then, you know, because some of them.
wouldn't be the spot zoning, it'd be the whole block that's highlighted on there.
Yeah, and my opinion was, if we were gonna do that we should look at all the way from Jackson Street over to, and I can't remember what the street is between, over there where, Linda Brookshire lived. Washington. My thought was that if we went Jackson to Washington, and then figured out your end zone on 29, then that way because there's pieces that float all the way through that is the issue right now.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. I mean, I think you're gonna have a zigzaggy key looking cut if we, you know, it's just be another line drawn from their crown.
Well, you can't avoid that 100% no matter how hard you want to.
No. But that was what I mentioned before, was like, because some of these businesses have bled back, especially towards Washington.
Yes.
The Jackson Street's not quite as bad, but Barnard Lumber runs all the way from 29 to Jackson, or the old Barnard Lumber, and stuff like that. So there's just stuff like that, and you know, I know Karen lives right across there, so she's always concerned about what could be right across her neighbor now. So, but anyway, that's my thought. So that's where I stood 2-3 years ago on this, and that's where I stand now.
And I thought that's what we were going to do. Because that's why I was getting ready to say, I knew your property was messed up.
Yeah, which,
We could just fix this property.
yeah, that's
Maybe we could fix this property, like we could fix that
But
property.
it's more of a zigzag though. I'm just saying, if you had just all the way to Jackson, from Jackson to Washington, everything in between them was that CV, and if you went all the way down to here to this post office, then all the way north of Dollar General, you know, which I know that's not ideal, make those all mixed use so they'd be residential or. But I don't want to
I know the old bank, the guy that owns that,
Yeah, Larry.
for instance, he goes, I want to put 3 apartments in there. Well, the way it's zoned now, he can't. He can have a retail business or a restaurant and then have a dwelling unit that's an accessory to the building. He can have that. So if, you know, for instance, if he was able to, like, hey, I could have 3 units here, he'd put the money into it and fix it up and probably get it sold or keep it rented or whatever, that's up to him, but his hands are kind of tied a little bit. Of course, you know, when you buy real estate, it's always a risk, so, but just saying, like, that's an example of where changing it to MU would benefit someone.
So what's our next step?
I don't know. I'm waiting to figure, because I know that like Yeoman, they're taking it and they're gonna sign it. It's already been discussed, they've already talked about it, they've already debated it. It's already been approved by the commissioners. So the question I'm not sure of, does it go ahead and change the whole thing? Or does everybody have to individually come in and request it? I don't think that's the case. I think it just goes ahead and gets changed. It just, I just go and tell the person that runs Beacon, like, hey, here's the line, this is what we're
Are
following.
you saying that you guys are gonna change our map, like, without our permission? Is that what you're saying?
No, we can't, because you haven't signed it yet.
Right, okay.
The county commissioners have. I don't know if they can I don't think they can do that. Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that. This is my opportunity, like, hey, if you guys wanna revisit this and do something with it, or I'll shred the paperwork and we'll forget about it.
No, it needs to be
Yeah.
revisited.
Well, as a landowner that has multiple parcels in that section, I would like to see a complete listing of what's allowed, what's special exception, and what's not allowed in that zoning of that mixed use. Just because that would help me understand exactly what I'm going through. So, and I've looked at it, it's been 3 years ago, Mike.
Yeah, it's been so long that I forget about it.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't involved in it at all. I know that Cindy, the attorney, she's like, yeah, she spent a lot of time on it, and then it just kind of like died. Camden signed it, and Yeoman's, they don't have hardly anything to worry about, there's no conflicts that they can even think of. But it does clean up what's currently being done, like, there's a lot of, like, would be called zoning violations right now. If you pretty much switched it over to MU today, the zoning violations would be gone. Even though I'm not gonna go out and pursue it as a violation, technically it's not being used,
What's your professional opinion about Burlington has the same problem as most small towns. We've got a bunch of empty commercial buildings or underutilized commercial buildings. With this zoning change, would it enable us to bring in businesses easier?
the block building that's got the bird shit and all the broken windows out of it.
Yeah.
So that's
Kirkhoff's.
like what, B2 or B.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'd be hard to convert that into something residential, because for one, pretty much anything they do there is gonna need to be completely redone. But if it was zoned MU, then they don't have to rezone it to do multiple options, you could have a laundromat and an apartment there. I'm just using that as an example, I'm not saying it's up to them what they wanna do with it. But like, looks like it used to be, well, where are we at? Over here. Next to the Barn Lover, looks like it used to be a little fire department or something, on the corner. Just right next door to the storage units. It's for sale.
There's a
Yeah,
bank.
that was originally the bank and the old phone company.
So, as it's zoned now, and in MU, they wouldn't be allowed to have an apartment on the first floor on the main road like that.
Which they have right
It
now.
was supposed to be used for a small business. That's something if they called and said, hey, we want to completely remodel this thing and change the use of it, I'd be like, all right, well, that first floor has to go back. But in B1, like I said, it's supposed to have a business there and a accessory dwelling. So it's just kind of, the way the things are written is kind of loose anyway. But I'm just trying to do the best for everybody. Like I said, Camden's the same deal. There's, Camden's a little bit bigger in Burlington, so they signed off on it, and as far as I know, they didn't have hardly any argument against it. Whatever, 2 or 3 years ago, I wasn't a part of that,
Jared and I weren't on the council, but wasn't there a public hearing in 2023?
I emailed that.
And the result of that public hearing was that people didn't want it, right?
It was about 50-50, to be truthful, if I remember right, the people I talked to. But they were just scared, a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know that it's really gonna make that much of a difference. Like, it's gonna make, if they go to refinance or borrow money against their property, it's bank's policy whether they wanna enforce that or not. But there's people that call all the time, like, well, we can't refinance our place because it's zoned industrial. There's places out in the middle of nowhere that's got zoned I-2 somehow because somebody had a trucking company there. Like, we're talking mom and pop trucking company, not a shipping hub. But like, what do they do? You know? So,
Well, if it was 50-50, that's still like a lot of people. I think before we make a decision about this, we should have another public hearing. So people can come in and say.
Well, I agree. And I think that there needs to be at least a, you know, a drawing of what it would look like.
what I highlighted on that beacon map was just my idea of what the intent was. Doesn't mean I'm 100% right. You know, Cindy and Cameron are involved in that. I'm still in contact with Cindy, so we can have her come to the next meeting or whenever you guys want to have a hearing on this. Because I'm not in a hurry on it. Like, if you guys want to, because you should look at what, because I don't even have a B3. There is no B3 zoning. I don't have it. So, like, technically that's already wrong. You know, like, all that is a phone call away. I'd be like, hey, switch all that to B2 because we don't have B3.
Was there a B3 in the past at some point?
In the
It's just
town's ordinance.
Oh, the
There is-
towns.
In the
Oh, is
town's
there?
zoning
Okay.
ordinance from like 1970, 71, somewhere, there was a B3.
Okay.
And I didn't understand, I don't know how it worked back then, but I've seen it in the paper.
Well, I assume whatever ordinances you have are still valid. And they would be in addition to whatever the county is.
As far as I can understand from the research I've done, that the town's ordinance governs whatever is
Right.
going on here.
Yeah.
So you guys are like operating in advisory, like administrative capacity, you know, like you're doing now to try.
Well, I get a lot of phone calls on a wide range of things. I'm sure you probably don't.
Sure.
Yeah, so like, why is this town doing all this stupid stuff? You know, like, you know, I'm like, I'm not saying that's what they say, but people, you know how people are. I'm like, well, good question. I don't know. Don't have an answer. You know, and then the same thing back to not to change the subject, but it is worth mentioning. I rewrote all the nuisance ordinance for the county and presented it to the commissioners to get it updated and figure out a way to actually enforce it. And the county, their attorney took it and he's like kind of sitting on it. So I got stonewalled on that. So if you guys want something to happen with nuisance stuff, you guys should do it with your own ordinance. Because if you have one,
We do.
so that's kind of what Ted did. Is he's like, well, it's up to the towns. So like he pretty much threw everybody else under the bus just because he doesn't want to do the work or whatever. Because I get probably 40 nuisance complaints a week. You know, and I gotta tell them the same stuff. Doing the best I can. I wasted 12 hours today. You know, trying to get someone to clean up some trash. So just to let you know that I'm trying to do that.
Are you talking about in the county?
The county,
Right.
but I mean, I get nuisance complaints for Burlington too,
So
so.
that's just people like misunderstanding that what they were
Right.
supposed to call.
But if you guys are struggling enforcing yours, you see how, like, I can't, and everybody thinks, oh, you just call somebody and they have them fine them. It doesn't work like that.
Well, I think we usually have Shane take abatement papers to them. Like Shane will take abatement papers if it really is.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He's the marshal.
Sure, and we're trying to get Camden to do that too. So Camden always just jumps on me. Well, they got their own town marshal and they got their own town council and all that stuff, so it's like, well, if you already have the ordinance, figure out a way to use it,
Right.
you know? Just let you know. And then, like I said, back to the comprehensive plan, that'll be something that'll come within the next year or two. probably some, a little bit more information on that will be available. But, yeah, that's something that you guys need to think about, like what would be the next move, 10, 15 years from now. If there was to be a new subdivision, where would it be best placed? Because you're not really rezoning that area, you're just saying, hey, this would be an appropriate spot.
If you annex something, who pays for that? Is it the town that pays for that, or?
I assume it would be the town, anyway.
For the legal cost of annexing, yeah, I believe so. And property taxes, of course, would be then changed from the county
All that stuff.
to court. So that would be the difference, is you part of it from there, but, as far as the actual drawing of the lines and figuring it out, yeah, you'd have to go through all the proper notices and notifications and all that, all the meetings, and then.
Yeah, so I guess if I was you guys, I'd dust off the B3 ordinance, and if you could send it to me too, so I can take a look at it, because I haven't seen it. I've seen Delphi's, I know what Delphi's looks like. It's pretty much the same thing, we just add a few extra requirements, or a few other things you could do. That's pretty much all I got. I know there's at least one guy in Burlington right now that needs this to happen soon. And it was something I knew that was brought up years ago and just kind of got dropped, so.
When we had the public hearing, because that was required by law, and that was in December of what?
22.
I sent it to them, but I can't remember off the top
I
of
think
my
it's
head.
23. What's the number?
We had to send a certified, like we sat and we wrote down every parcel it affected. And we had a whole list, and we had to mail everybody a certified letter
Yeah, I do it all the time.
for all those parcels.
Sure, yeah.
So if we had another public hearing, I mean, I don't know what the law would be at this point, but if we had, that would be something that would have to be a consideration, is that we'd have to go through that process again.
Yeah, I could ask, Cindy would be the one to answer that question if that would need to happen again. Because I know that the public can have all the opinions they want, but ultimately you make the decision or whatever. Because people come in all the time and they just throw a fit over somebody rezoning something. It's because they think there's going to be a nuclear waste site next door to them, and it's just, so it's kind of overreacting a little bit. So, but yeah, like I said, I gotta check it in a little bit more. Just wanted to bring this to you guys, get your feel for it. And I get it, if you got a property that's going to get cut in half, but that takes place everywhere. There's probably parcels that are partially U1 and partially ag, all the way around. And I don't know if that really affects much either, so. So that's all I got, guys. Anything else I can do or help, or any questions? I sit in almost all the commissioners' meetings and all the council meetings. And especially the council, they're going way better than they used to. They used to waste so much time arguing about the dumbest things. It seems like it's really productive, and they don't waste a lot of time spinning their wheels. The commissioners' meetings are I would say better too. Not so much back and forth, jibber jabber. It's more down to business and stuff like that. So. I make a point to go. I'm in the building. I get paid full time to do this, so a lot of times I get involved in stuff that's not really my lane, but it's okay. So, and as far as closing alleys, I don't know. Do you guys have your own street department? Would you have to close your own alley through the town, or would it be through the county?
Well, we've done it before with the property.
Yeah.
I guess the property.
They just did one for the church or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did that.
But usually the person gets an attorney to start the
Right.
process.
Right.
Yeah, there's a legal description and all that, yeah.
Yeah. The other ones, we have to protest or something on, be if there's a sewer line in it, our mains or Duke
Yeah.
Energy or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll get out of your hair and let you guys finish off with your meeting.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it. Just let me know if you need anything or got any questions. I don't know all the answers, but I'll try. Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. It's going to be ordinance 2026-1, additional appropriations.
That's the thing we tabled last time.
Yeah, this was introduced at the public hearing last meeting, but it had to be tabled.
I wasn't here.
Right. And then I left a note for Jared.
I think Jared couldn't vote on it because he's on the fire department or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So do we just need to make a motion to approve it?
Right, because it was introduced last month, you don't have to do
Right.
that whole rigmarole thing
Right.
that we have to do.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the ordinance 2026-1.
Anyone made a motion to approve ordinance 2026-1. I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And you abstained, right? You do. Motion carries. Nope, can't sign it.
And it only has a place for, so it would just be you and Daniel signing it.
Okay, moving on, we'll go to resolution 2026-2, transfer appropriations.
And this is to do our match for the community crossings grant.
That's what I thought.
So we're moving money from the motor vehicle highway sub-fund to the local road and bridge matching grant fund for the town's match.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-2.
Second.
I made the motion, Daniel seconded it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I didn't think I could vote on this.
You can't. So you abstain.
Abstain.
Motion
Yeah,
carries.
that's got my name down
It's
here.
like doing good, being on the fire department, can't vote because of it. What'd you get for doing good? Oh, yeah.
Oh, did I give you one for this one?
No, not for that one. Okay, next old business is golf cart permit question, which I think we've got resolved by the attorney. I wasn't here and I would not have approved it.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean,
Is there any other additional questions on that?
no, I mean, it seemed like pretty open and shut to me, but I just wanted him to say, look into it.
She wants to, apparently, my understanding, I wasn't here, but she wanted a golf cart permit, but she does not have a valid license.
Because she can't see.
Can't see.
So.
She has to cross the highway.
Yeah.
So the request is going to be denied. Okay, moving on to new business, April 2026 payroll allowance docket. Why does Stephen Stout have 4 paychecks?
I wish.
He's paid out of 2 different
I
places.
know.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the allowance document.
Second.
We have a motion by Daniel to approve the allowance docket, second by Jared. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the must meeting for income tax revenues.
Turn this over to you.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how well I can explain this, but last year they made changes to the tax structures with the property taxes and local income tax. And so now, this year, they are wanting municipalities to work with counties. It's a municipal unit strategic task force. That's what it stands for. And they're wanting us to meet with the county for us to work with the county council, but also, advocate what our needs are as a town for local income taxes. And so they're wanting us to work together, it says, for collaboration and planning. The outcomes of these meetings, it says, are not binding, but it can be used as a guide for planning and recommendations to the General Assembly. And they're wanting us to do this with the county no later than August 1st, 2026, if the county agrees to do it. So I just wanted to let you know that this is, what they're wanting us to do. So my plan at this point is to try to reach out to the other municipalities and see if we could meet to talk, and also need to get a hold of the county council to see if they are favorable to having a meeting.
Sure.
So,
Do they have to do this, or could they choose not to do it, the county, like not to give us any money?
no, it's not that. It's just that this is a preliminary. So this was gonna take effect, the effects of the law and the changes in the revenue structure was gonna take place sooner, but they're delaying it now. It'll be effective 2029, but it would be adopted in 2028. So what they're trying to set a framework so that we have time to work with the county to work together in collaboration for these changes that are going to take place. So this meeting is not a requirement of law, but we're hoping that they do it so that we can make, advocate for our municipalities before the county.
Right.
So,
Kind of be ahead of the game.
right, so they've made it so there's a 2.9% cap of total local income tax rate that's allowed for the whole county, and that's divvied up. And if you look on those pages, it ends up being a little bit more than 2.9%. So what I feel is gonna happen is just like everybody, well, we need money, we need revenue, and so therein lies a concern. And I think the total that the town could receive is 1.2%. But on the back, and I know that Mr. Higgins was here earlier, but part of the bill that passed last year is, if you look on the back where my handwriting is, last year we received over $106,000 through local income tax, through certified shares, and through levy freeze. And then our property tax for last year was $90,000. So that altogether, that's $267,000 of revenue. That's all changing because we'll be receiving lower property taxes. My understanding through this bill is they're doing away completely with the levy freeze portion. Well, that's $87,000 right there. And, the portion that you can get back through this 1.2% is not what we are receiving now. So, like I said, as I was, for me to fully explain this, I don't know that I'm gonna do a good job. It's something that I'm really gonna have to spend some time with. And, but I know we're gonna have to advocate for our town. Because the general fund for us is the main fund. And we have our public safety in there, we have our park in there, you know, the main functions of government come out of that fund. And if we, you know, have a loss of revenue with local income tax, that could really, really.
Catastrophic cuts we'd have to make.
I mean, yeah, it's a loss of $98,000. Take that over 5 every year, 500,000.
And that's mine, you know, I'm not 100% on that, but that's just my thinking at this moment. But when Mr. Higgins came in, he said it was a loss of like $19,000 if it was based on this year,
Right.
but that didn't count the levy freeze monies,
Mhm.
which according to this law, it repeals it and it goes away.
Right.
So,
Well, according to the school, because they're losing it too, that's something similar that they're taking away from them too.
so I wanted you to be aware of it. There's a whole handout. I can email you a link. If you guys want to read through that. You know, I've been trying to go through webinars, you know, any free webinars. I've been trying to, but you know, these are people that have been spending 24/7 studying this, and I don't have the ability to do that. So we may need to rely on Mr. Higgins again to kind of help us navigate through this, because, you know, he's a CPA and understands more of this on that level.
I agree.
Well, as we get closer, it's not that far away. So as we get closer to it, we're gonna need to have a plan as we start to see better, like what we're gonna do, and let people know about it too, because like, does our marshal's pay come out of the general fund?
Yes, and then the park, what we, you know, what's contributed to the park,
How much is that, like 20 grand?
no, it's 40,000 a year.
40,000.
So the township contributes 40,000, and then the town contributes 40,000 every year. And you have your, just, you know, we've got the loan for the building that we're paying off, and
Library.
yeah, we help support the library.
But that's if we don't lose town or township trustees too. Because that's coming. Okay. It's great. Any miscellaneous business?
I wanted to talk about, like the agenda and like setting up the agenda. And I would like to like maybe put some more oversight of the council onto that, you know, and so there's more time too, because like this guy, you know, when he wanted to come in, I don't have like a lot of time to research all this stuff, you know, and I'm not exactly sure what's gonna happen, so it's like, we're gonna have to make a decision on this now, you know, that sort of thing. Which I know we never have to do that, but it would just be better if it was. So I am working on an ordinance to try to, you know, do that, and I'll have it completely ready by the next meeting, just to set some kind of oversight of the council on. What I would like to see is that like the agenda have all the ordinary business of the town on it every time. So whatever this stuff right here, you know, and then this stuff, like if somebody wants to have a special presentation or audience or something, that they need to get approval of a majority of the council to get that on the agenda, so that we can say, yeah, we want to hear that. Also, we know it's coming like a week ahead of time or whatever that we come up with. So that's just what I'm working on, and I would like that for that to be on the agenda for the next meeting.
So. Jared, you have anything?
Nope.
Scott, you have anything?
Yes, sir.
Jamie?
Same thing.
Speeding? Do you have any more issues with the house down there?
Not really.
Mr. Stout?
Nope.
Karen, you got anything?
I'm ready to retire, I think.
You ready to retire? Are you serious?
I make a motion
Oh,
to
yeah.
close this meeting. Second. Okay, I made a motion, we close the meeting, Jared seconded it. All those in favor say